Hi, I'm Eleanor. This is Motor Matters. We're out on location at Mount Amanzi, out the Hartebeespoort area in the mountains. Look at this. What a spectacular place to be doing a video right now, and just to be generally out in the country for a change, enjoying ourselves. We came out here in the Kia Sonet. Of course, the Kia, the tiger shark grill as they love to call it. You can see it, you can't mistake a Kia, and especially nowadays since they moved the Kia badge up onto the front of the bonnet, like a couple of other manufacturers have done lately as well. So it's little features like that that stand out. This is the top of the range model that was added recently because we did test a Sonet about nearly 2 years ago, which had the 1.5 litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder motor. Now they've put in the 1 litre turbo version at the top of the range. You can see, of course, the grey, silver grey trim to this little skid plate over there. Just to give you an idea of a couple of features, fog lights over here. It's little things like that. Typical of a crossover SUV, of course. You've got the cladding around the wheel arches, down the bottom of the doors, etc. These are signs that will tell you a mile off you're in a crossover SUV. Lovely 16-inch alloy wheels, of course, on top models. And interesting, you've got the two-tone with a black roof over here on top model with the roof rack effect. But what I find strange is when you've got the black roof, why not put in a panoramic roof as well? Why leave it, in my book, just with a standard roof? But anyway, that's what they've done, and I suppose we just have to accept it. Let's pop open the back door quickly while I'm over here and have a look. The driver's seat, as always, is set for myself. Well, headroom's not bad with my hat on. I can't complain. And legroom's pretty good. Nice features over here are aircon vents for the rear seat. And so you've got plenty of space in the back seat. There's no complaint. And we may as well look while we're about it. You've got the leather interior with lots of red contrast stitching and the ribbed kind of effect. So it looks pretty good, looks pretty neat. Another unusual feature is this tiny little window in the back over here in the C-pillar. Just different, tiny little thing, but I suppose it does add a little bit of light to the rear of the car, which is what you want. Come round to the tail end, again you've got an unusual effect over here on the C-pillar as far as I'm concerned, coming round. So it looks almost like it's a wrap around to the rear window. And of course the red effect over there as well. And of course you have to have a skid plate effect over there. Pop open the rear tailgate. Boot is quite deep. The lip is not bad. It's a medium lip, I'd call it, but it's a good size boot. And strangely, in this market, no split of the rear seat. It folds down, it's fine, that's easy enough. But it folds down in one piece. And I would have said, top of the range model, I would like to see a split rear seat, quite honestly, just for the versatility it would offer you. Well, I mentioned that it's powered by the new 1 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine, puts out 88 kilowatts, 172 newton meters of torque. So it certainly does have the extra power that you want over the naturally aspirated version. And what's interesting is, in the naturally aspirated, they come in the auto versions with a CVT transmission. On this one, you've got a 7-speed dual clutch automatic. So there's a big difference as well. And you've got to take that into account. On all of them, of course, power is delivered to the front wheels. So let's check it out on the road. Let's see what it's like inside, and you'll get our full impressions. Of course, there's nothing better with any car that you're driving to drive it out in the countryside. Beautiful crossing over, you can see crossing a bridge over a river. Sonet is smooth, it's relaxed, it's comfortable. I'm not speeding, that's not what I'm about at the moment. And this is a bit of a winding road through the countryside anyway, so you don't want to speed. But I'm already in 7th gear, and let's just see, let's just go into sport mode. And oh yeah, okay, there is a bit of a difference, isn't there? I think you feel that immediately. Kick down a gear instantly. It's hanging onto the gears much longer. It's just generally giving you that extra bit of oomph that you may want. Another thing I did discover on the drive here, and we came through our favorite road through Hartebeespoort and the twisties, as I call them, was it may be a higher-ish riding crossover SUV, but it actually handled the twisties pretty nicely and was pretty comfortable on the road. So yeah, I think you're getting the impression and getting the picture. For a small family, young couple, whatever, this really can be all the car you need. And on the road, it does the job more than adequately. A little bit of performance, a little bit of fun. Of course, with the turbo, you always know you're going to get that extra bit of acceleration if that's what you're looking for. And if you're looking for that little bit of excitement in your performance, well, you may just suffer with your fuel consumption a tiny bit. But besides that penalty, this car could be a bit of fun to drive, I must say. As always, let's start off behind the wheel, and you can see full digital instrumentation, which looks pretty neat, looks pretty good, and you can do your normal scrolling through various menu settings and set everything you want. You know what it's like. I don't have to spend too much time explaining all of this to you. I think it's very basic and very simple to explain. You've got, of course, your buttons on the steering wheel, and on the side over here, as you can see, you've got cruise control, useful, and over here all your sound system, phone, etc., etc., that you would want on the car. Unusual shape, and you'll see them throughout the car, of the air vents. Nothing wrong, just quite unusual, but they do look quite good, I think, so I have no complaint over here. Auto on headlights on this model, that's an important feature as well. You come across to the center screen over here, and let's take a look. Well, it's a standard screen, of course, but what it does give you is a fairly clear reverse camera, so that is nice and useful, and obviously all the other functions you would expect. Now, it's got a feature that I like, but I've got to say I had a bit of a problem with, is you press there to connect Android Auto, for example, and there you go. It'll give you what you need. It'll give you all the features you want. But on our trip out here, it lost connection to Android Auto a couple of times. Now, when you're using Android Auto for navigation, that's kind of frustrating. So, good feature, and it's a wireless Android Auto as well. So I don't know whether the problem was in the wireless, or whether it was in the general connection, or whether it was because, fairly enough, we were in mountainous terrain as well. So, got to just comment, it just was awkward trying to navigate to somewhere where you don't know where you're going, and you keep dropping your Android Auto signal. Anyway, come down over here. I mentioned the unusual shape of the air vents, but they certainly do work, and I like the way they frame the controls for the climate control system. I think it looks pretty neat, pretty good, and of course you've got all the controls you want to set your climate control, your temperature, etc., etc. You come down below that again, there's traction. You can set your traction control, and it gives you options on the dashboard over there. You can't see it now. If you press that traction button for snow, mud, sand, etc., they are there. Let me just bring the camera, and if we press that button one more time, then you'll see as it pops up over there, and you can toggle down and set it very quickly over there. So it does give you, that's where the crossover part of the SUV comes in. And also next to that button is a button that does give you eco, normal, or sport modes as well, depending on what driving you're doing and how you want to do. I chucked it into sport mode for a few moments on the way out, and it does seem to give you just a little bit of extra oomph while you're about it. You come down below over here, and I must say I do like the fact that you've got two USBs over there. You can see connective and a 12-volt over there as well. So you've also got a nice spot where your cell phone can sit, and it is held quite nicely over there. I've mentioned your 7-speed dual clutch automatic, smooth, comfortable. It does the job well. I've got no complaints. I'll have to see what Leadfoot says about it, where I guarantee you, used it in manual mode, and he will be able to tell you more about how he felt about that. And of course, a manual handbrake, no problem. Something I've got to point out is, on a top model like this, which has so many features like the wireless for Android Auto, etc., yet you've got an old-fashioned manual type key. So this car, I found, is a car of contrasts. It has a lot of features I really like, and then there are a few I kind of keep wondering, where are they? Something else that I found also, I've got to mention, very much lacking at this level of car is on the driver's window, for example, you don't get one touch down even. It's completely hold the button up and down. It's not serious, but I would expect it on this level of car. This is the top model, so that does help. And it does have, for example, 6 airbags, whereas there is a version with the same engine with 2 airbags, and you can save yourself 30,000 Rand. You won't get the leather, 1 or 2 other things. Always the choices of yours. So what do I mean by saving 30,000 Rand or not? This one is 390,000 Rand. I'm going to round it off. That's the price you'd pay to get into this particular Sonet EX Plus. Fuel consumption, I showed you just very briefly. You're looking at, with a lot of open road cruising, 6.7 litres per 100 we seem to be achieving. You can, on an absolute cruise, get it down to the 6 mark. So it is very much in the ballpark. But remember, with a 1 litre turbo, it's always going to be affected by the way you drive. Use the power that's available, kick the turbo in all the time, and you will see your consumption climb somewhat. But depends how much fun you want to have, doesn't it? Well, this market segment is accounting for almost 40% of sales in South Africa these days, the crossover SUV. And this is the Sonet, a very popular contender. When they launched the 1.5, everybody said, where's the 1 litre turbo? They were waiting for it. Here it is. Obviously, it's at the top end price-wise, but it's still pretty competitive. There's so many competitors in this sort of price category. You know them all. Good, solid. A lot of people are very impressed by the look of the Sonet, by the feel of the interior, etc., the quality. These are all features you need to look at for yourself. You also, of course, get a 7-year warranty, which does make a difference as well. You're in this market. This is one that should be on your list to go and test before you make your final choice. For Motor Matters, I'm Alan R. See you next time.